I'm Kat.
I'm Haley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where tipsy teachers teach fascinating lessons. How you like that?
So good. And we just talked about the new intro and I already forgot. Like within 30 seconds, I was like, oh, really taking the reins here, aren't you, Kat?
What do you mean? Did you want to do it? You can do it. New intro, new person who reads the intro.
I don't want to do it. Ask me what we're drinking.
I mean, now I feel bad that I just took it.
You didn't take it.
It's in my notes, though. Is it in your notes?
No.
That's what I thought.
All I was saying is that I'm very tired and I forgot that we just talked about doing the new intro that we all agreed on, and also I want you to do it and not me.
It probably wasn't even 30 seconds. Alec was like, are we doing the new intro today? And I was like, yep, it's in my notes. And then he started the music.
Can you read it again? I almost kind of missed it.
This is Night Classy, the podcast where tipsy teachers teach fascinating lessons.
Okay. There was so much alliteration when it hit me. I was like,
yeah. Maybe it needs to be reworked. I don't know.
Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, well, let's ask the audience actually. Like, message us because
they don't care.
No, but just how do you pitch it to your friends? Because we felt like Unwind no longer fit the show.
Yeah, we do very little unwinding and a whole lot of getting riled up on this show.
Yeah, a lot of upwinding.
Yeah, upwind.
A lot of agitation is going on over here. Kat wants to fight all the time. I just don't care. And Alec is a stickler.
Dog
There's just a lot of agitation.
Yeah, so we changed it. And yeah, you guys don't fucking care what we say. I don't know. Don't waste your time. We're not changing it. This is how it's gonna be for the next 80 episodes.
80. Bow, 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 bow. We have a special glasses, but a special bottle, hook and ladder.
Yes.
And you got it from a long-term sub at your school.
I did. There's a sub at my school. Well, he was like a long-term sub. He has been there since the start of the year, and today was his last day, and he was kind enough to bring in everyone's favorite adult beverage. So he brought me a bottle of wine. So shout out Mr. Page.
That is the nicest person probably ever.
I know. That is so nice. Like, he brought every single adult staff member. I mean, not that they're children staff members, but like everybody a bottle of alcohol. Like, that's expensive.
He brought everyone alcohol, including the emotional support animal.
I wish we had an emotional support animal. I need one.
You have plenty of animals. Sit down.
The ones at home are not emotional support.
They're emotional agitators.
Yeah, exactly. They're emotional distress.
Dog want to bite. Dog want to bite.
Yeah. I just spent the last hour and a half taking care of animals, despite being in a huge rush. So things are going well. Again, thanks, Mr. Page. Shout out to episode 80. Our podcast is officially a grandma.
It is. We don't have any grandchildren, nor do we want them, but we are of age.
Yes. We are mature.
Couture. Because we're
Juicy.
Obviously retired.
Yeah.
Juicy. Yes.
Couture. We wear it to the golf course every day.
We're widowed, thankfully.
Thank God.
Rich.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And we walk our cats on diamond leashes.
And they actually walk. We don't have to drag them.
No, we hired a trainer
They're
for
willing.
our cats. Yeah.
I hope you're all getting the image of us right now. And if you're watching a video of us recording this live, it's a lie. You see us in sweats.
This is manifestation for the future.
We're visualizing making it become true. Okay, good. Also, I have a lot of energy. I'm never tired.
Yeah, we're very tired. It's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
So fuck that.
It was my birthday celebration this weekend.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And I'm just exhausted. I went to probably a freaking super spreader event.
Went all the way to Georgia too.
Yeah, at Atlanta. Thankfully, everyone had to show their vaccine cards to get in.
That's
good. Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And I was really proud. Like, the baby was initially on the set list and they were like, Fuck you. We're bringing in
Bye.
Marshmallow instead. So.
Who's baby? Just kidding.
Buh baby. That's like everyone thinks that I'm saying my cat's name is Duh baby now, and I'm like, no.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I didn't even think about that.
I know, right?
That's like, do you remember the day that my TikTok video went viral because I was just filming baby all day?
Yes.
And I had like 100 people in my live, and I kept having to tell people her name is baby, and everyone thought I was saying da baby.
Yeah, you think you're so fun and so cool naming your kid something or your cat something cool. I was thinking of like Gwyneth Paltrow and her daughter named Apple.
Yeah.
Like you think it's so cool and so hip, but then you have to say it over and over again and it gets less cool. It's
Or
like,
spell it.
Yeah, spell it.
Jesus.
Like my 6th grade self making an email account that's my name spelled backwards. That
and it's still her
lives
email.
on. It's still
Y'all can go ahead and email her now. Now you have her personal email.
No, you don't. You don't know what server it's on. It's a very obscure, you've probably never even heard of it. I'm surprised it's still around.
Well, happy birthday. I feel bad that I
Thank
haven't
you.
given you your gift yet.
Don't feel bad. I think I am having birthday anxiety. I realized because this whole month I've been a little like extra amped up and so it'll be fine. It'll be much better. We can just chill out and watch Bachelor in Paradise and I can open it and it'll be low key. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about bringing it here for her to open on the show, but it's heavy. So it did not come with us.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
We'll do it tomorrow.
I'm all birthdayed out. I'm exhausted, but I'm here and I'm ready.
Yes. I'm sorry you're experiencing birthday anxiety. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I think you rubbed off on me.
I guess so. Is it because you're now just 1 year away from being 25?
Oh my gosh. I got anxiety thinking about how I only have 2 more years left on my parents' insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. Like that's the scariest thing for me. I was definitely old, like an older person today at this music festival. Like I told you earlier, most of these people were like 18, 19, maybe 20 years old. I felt so old. I know I'm not old.
Yeah.
But
we feel so young every day because we work with so many people older than us. And then when you're at an event where you're the oldest one, it's a little bit heart-wrenching.
it definitely was. So maybe I'm just mentally exhausted on top of physical exhaustion. I got to work out and there's a lot of walking. It was at Piedmont Park and I was just looking around. I realized all the trees were different species. Like everywhere I looked, they must have just like specifically planted them in that park to have like all these different types of trees. It was
That's
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That sounds fun. I've never been to Atlanta.
It's really nice. You should go. They have probably the worst traffic in the United States,
Really?
like worse than Los Angeles.
Oh,
yes.
God. Well, hopefully we'll go soon. Justin and Zach of What the Gays Say are trying to plan a trip with all the 4 of us to Atlanta. So hopefully that will happen in the someday.
Sometime somewhere. In the meantime, y'all go listen to them. They're a riot.
Definitely. And speaking of other podcasts, Alec has an announcement.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, just took a sip of beer right when you threw it to me. Yeah, my podcast, I had it before COVID and I let it slide because I was working on so many other clients' podcasts, but I'm bringing it back, restarting from the top. And it's called Ideally, and it's for creative entrepreneurs with ADHD and just helping them get better through personal development and learn more from entrepreneurs. And yeah, it's going to be great. The guest that, when this comes out, yesterday, the new episode will be out with my business and life coach from a few years ago, who basically coached me to a place where I decided to create a podcast company. And I just have a lot of fulfillment in my career because of that. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check it out because I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too. And like, even if you don't have ADHD or aren't an entrepreneur, it's still a really good podcast to listen to. I enjoy it and I'm neither of those things.
Yeah. I mean, the people that you've had on in the past, I still remember so clearly. I mean, not her name, which, but I remember the interview so clearly and like, oh, wow, like I can really take these tips and apply them to like teaching or just my day-to-day life. Like finding inspiration in the small things was one of the things that she touched on.
Yeah, it's a very positive and uplifting podcast, and Alex on it. So check it out. I have one more plug, which is our Patreon cocktail hour on October 1st at 8 p.m. Central. Come hang out with us.
Yeah, we're a lot of fun. It'll be live, unedited, uncut, raw.
So raw. And we will be there with ghost stories from our lives. Like, I have some personal experiences. Haley does too, that we have not shared on this podcast. Some pretty crazy shit. And we hope that you guys have had a ghost experience that you can also share. And if you don't, that's fine. You can just listen or make one up.
Oh my God, somebody please make one up. Just tell a story from a movie and see how long it takes for us to
Oh my God, 2 truths and a lie, ghost story edition.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay, we're leveling up the game, y'all. Head over to Patreon so you can get that link.
Yes, get the link. Come join us. And our breathalyzer is still out of batteries because we suck ass and haven't changed them yet. But we don't mind trading back and forth.
No, we sure don't. So it's my turn, correct?
Birthday girl.
All righty. I'm going to start out with a little visualization,
Ooh,
okay? Picture this, okay? It's March 1845. It's cold as fuck. The sun is going down and you're in your little cabin a couple miles outside of Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the woods. You're trying to get some bread and milk together for dinner.
Ew. I hate it.
When there's a knock at your door, you open the door and this old man is on your doorstep. He's wearing these dirty, torn pantaloons. He has a coffee sack with holes cut in it for his head and his arms. His hair is long and unkempt. He does not have shoes on. And he has this large, like, burlap sack with him. And he asks if he can come in for the night to get out of the weather.
You are painting quite the picture. By the way, the answer is no. He
No.
cannot come in with his burlap sack that he is holding and also wearing.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the sacks.
Apparently so. Yeah.
So it's a no for you.
It's a no for me.
Okay. I'd probably be on the same page.
Just for safety reasons.
I mean, I don't know why.
I don't know where this story is going, but it seems like the person probably let him in and it didn't go well.
They did let him in. Unfortunately, the next morning, John Chapman had died in that cabin, sleeping on the hearth by the fire. And he had been a victim of the winter plague, which was just kind of a catch-all. He was about in his 70s. And those who saw his corpse would go on for years saying that it glowed with serenity. When he was fully laid to rest, his grave, one of them, would read, Johnny Appleseed, he lived for others, 1774 to 1845.
I'm dying that you're doing this right now because for some reason, Johnny Appleseed has been like coming up in my life. Like, I keep hearing about it on podcasts, like not the story, just like them making jokes about Johnny Appleseed. Like it's happened like 3 times in the last month. And so Johnny Appleseed has been top of mind. And I've been like, should I add him to my night classy list? No. And I also get him confused with Paul Bunyan all the time.
Paul Bunyan was fictional.
Yeah.
Johnny Appleseed was real.
Okay.
He's a real guy. And he's been on my list for so long. So that's really funny that he's been in both of our minds.
Yeah, I think our minds are connected.
I think so too. I think that's why we felt like we had known each other for longer when we like first met, and just this connection that we have. I think that must be so.
Absolutely. Like before we started recording, Haley was like, Alec, I have to tell you a story. And she told him the story. And I had told Alec that story like 2 days ago, even though it happened like a month ago.
Yeah, so long ago.
We're just mind melded.
We are. It's good. We should start a podcast.
Oh my God, good idea.
All right, well, let's get into it. We're going to learn about the real guy, John Chapman, also known as Johnny Appleseed. So he was born September 26th, Virgo. I think that's still Virgo season, hopefully, in 1774 in Leominster, Massachusetts. His parents were Nathaniel and Elizabeth Chapman, but his dad was a real deadbeat, always off being a Minuteman and fighting the British Army in the Revolution. So he was never there.
Loser.
Dad was gone all the time. And mom died after giving birth to his younger brother 2 years later. So they're basically orphaned. We don't know exactly who they lived with while dad was off being a deadbeat and mom was not there physically.
I'm sorry. This is not funny. Anything that you said is not funny, but I'm just imagining an apple tree raising him.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't joke about deadbeat dads like that. Like his dad really did something fighting the British.
No, I'm not wanting you to apologize for that. I just have this image of like, now I'm confusing his story with the giving tree, and now an apple tree has stepped in as a foster parent.
When you add those little faces that you can add to the bark of trees, they become real. They will raise your children.
Honestly.
And your children will spread your seed.
We're going to try that with Alvin. Give him to the tree.
Oh my God. And then he could just always be with a friend.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. Well,
idea. Stay
stay tuned. I told you we were keeping that freaking squirrel.
So far, that is true.
Squirrelium.
Squirrelium.
So Johnny Appleseed is getting raised by the tree. Everything's going great. We don't know much about his early life, but we do know that his dad ends up coming back in 1780. So he's like 6 years old, and his dad marries this other woman, Lucy. They end up having 10 more kids together.
Whoa.
Yeah. And when Johnny, I don't know if I should call him Johnny Appleseed or John Chapman. I'm going to call him Johnny Appleseed.
I think we should call him JJ.
No.
Okay.
J.A.
JA.
That's Johnny Appleseed.
I'm delirious. I need
Johnny
to go to bed. Johnny Appleseed.
So they have 10 kids together. By the time he turns 18, he's like, oh, all right, enough of this. I am peacing out. I will see you all later. Before he leaves, though, he persuades his younger half-brother, who's 11 years old, also named Nathaniel, to go with him. So they head west in 1792. And we don't know a ton about Johnny Appleseed, believe it or not, but a lot of details have been lost to time. What we do know about him is sourced from random bookkeepings, and a lot of it is tales passed down by generations. Once Johnny and his brother set out from Massachusetts, we didn't hear from them. Like, there's no recorded history of them for quite a while. We do know eventually that his brother went back to live with his parents once his family also came out to Ohio. But either way, Johnny Appleseed ends up doing pretty much the rest of his life alone, walking through the wilderness and just going west. And at this point in time, these white settlers are starting to encroach even more into native lands. They're, conquering the wild, doing what they do.
Yeah, and she has air quotes around these things.
Yeah. And so a lot of people and private companies are buying plots of land in the Northwest Territory so that they can resell it to these settlers as they're coming out. And the Ohio Company of Associates made a deal with potential sellers. Anyone who is willing to make a permanent homestead in the wilderness beyond Ohio's first permanent settlement, which is like super northeast, they would get 100 acres of land that they could have and keep and do whatever they want to. But to show your commitment, you would have to plant 50 apple trees and 20 peach trees within 3 years to be like, I'm
Easy.
in this bitch.
Don't you just bury a seed?
Well, at the time, they had started grafting, but Johnny Appleseed did not graft. He strongly was against grafting trees, and we'll get to that. But Johnny Appleseed sees this business opportunity, and he's like, fuck yeah, like I can plant all the trees, and then I can resell this land and make a profit. And so that's what he did kind of. I think that to me, it seems like that's how it started out. But then he just kind of ended up being a nomad, kind of just walking all the time. He never stayed in one of these places permanently. He just wanted to plant a lot of trees and live in nature.
Why did he love planting apple seeds?
I think that was just what he had at the time. And what I'll get to here in just a second is that apples aren't what they used to be. They were used to make hard apple cider, which is what almost everyone was drinking at the time. So he's planting these apples to make alcohol, and he ends up owning a ton of land, but never pays taxes. So other people come. He never lives on any of his land. He's just always walking miles and miles every day. And so he's planting these apples. They were not eaten. They're made into vinegar and this hard cider, especially in rural areas. Hard apple cider was drunk more than anything else. Coffee, tea, water, because it was sanitary. There's not going to be a bacteria in there. It could be fermented easily. And he would even go to these like apple processing plants, I guess, where they would make vinegar, and he would dig through their trash and their scraps to get the seeds from what was left over so that he could plant more trees. And he took part in the cider drinking himself. He's described in the book Johnny Appleseed, The Man, the Myth, The American Story by Howard Means as having lived, quote, through an alcoholic haze.
That's why he was always just walking around barefoot wearing a coffee sack.
Barefoot, his hair is a mess constantly, and he's just having a great time drinking his apple cider. He's just vibing, showing up to random people's houses in the woods, asking if he could stay with them. And that rarely happened. He mostly just lived outside. It's estimated that he was only sleeping under a roof 5 weeks out of the year. He would only do it if the weather got like really bad.
So he was just walking around the woods. I still don't get why he was just walking around planting apples.
That's a great question.
Like, that was just his life.
That's just his
For
thing.
60 years, he walked around and planted apples.
He's an apple man.
He is. And from what
he
you're
was raised
telling
by
me,
an apple tree. He's giving back.
that is the only explanation
He's
for
spreading
why
a
he would
seed.
choose this life. What if he never actually planted apples and he actually was just walking around like having sex with everyone, spreading his seed, and like it's all just a big euphemism? That's what these stories are actually about.
He was celibate.
Really?
Purposefully. We will get into it. He was very religious as well, but
Oh.
probably not in the way you think.
Oh no.
Let me tell you this quick fun fact. So fruit trees typically live 10 to 15 years anyway. So there is not any direct like trees that were planted by Johnny Appleseed. There is a 150-year-old tree that is like a descendant, like a direct descendant of a Johnny Appleseed tree in Nova, Ohio. Wah, 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 Ohio, best state. Just kidding. It is not. But it's pretty good. But the reason why we don't have as many descendants is because the apple orchards, a lot of them were burnt down by the FBI during the temperance movement because they were used to make hard cider.
Oh my God.
So sad.
So sad.
I know.
What little bitches.
Literally so rude.
So rude.
Don't you know what JA had to go through?
And you can eat them.
They were really sour and bitter and disgusting. They were more like crab apples.
Okay.
Over time, they were able to
Make them better.
make them good, fix them. But I'm sure they were great for Applejack, right?
What's Applejack?
It's like
Like whiskey?
like the alcoholic. Yeah, that's what it's called, right?
I don't know. I just think of Applejacks as cereal.
That's what I thought. I was like, that was a good joke.
That too. Who knows what I'm talking about? Any and all times.
She's from Ohio. They have Applejack.
It's going right over your head. So he's carrying around this huge bag full of apple seeds, and he just plants them by putting it down in the ground, watering it, and he makes these fences around what he just planted using plants that have died, brush from the forest, things like that to protect it from animals. But this was not the way to do it at the time. Typically, they would graft the tree, but he was against it because he believed that caused the tree pain, and that was wrong.
It's because he was raised by an apple tree.
He knew the truth,
knew.
obviously.
Yeah.
Dad, what's that scar? Have you ever heard of grafting, son? No.
I read, and this is totally off topic, but I was on Reddit Paranormal, and I read this story someone posted about how they planted a forest with their grandfather, like when they were little, and then they planted like 100 trees, and then he came back to it as an adult and went camping there, and he just felt that the trees were happy to see him. And all the people in the comments were like, yeah, like studies show like trees can communicate with each other, like using spores underground, and like a lot of people think they feel pain and emotion, and like maybe he was onto something.
That gives me goosebumps. I love
Isn't
it
that
and I
cool?
hate it.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I mean, fungus does that.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't trees be able to?
Trees communicate with each other using the fungus underground.
Oh my God, nature is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to learn all the things.
Me
We need
too.
to have Zach on to teach us about fungi.
I know. He needs to. I also watched a documentary on Netflix. It was really short, but it was about fungi and it was super cool. Did you watch
the
it
same
too?
one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I used it actually to fall asleep last night. Is no consolation as to how interesting I thought it was. It's just also very soothing.
It is soothing. And they like light it up with like the neon lights, and it looks very cool.
It's beautiful. Could watch it all day and apparently all night. So Johnny Appleseed was definitely onto something. He would not graft them. And this is also why he was a vegetarian. He refused to eat meat. And it was all because of this religion that he practiced and would preach as he's traveling across these states.
That's like wonderful that he was a vegetarian, but how do you live in the northern
That's what I'm
forest
wondering.
and not eat meat? Like, what was he eating?
The apples.
Grains and bread, I bet.
Where's he getting grain?
Milk and bread. Because he would stop at these people's houses. If
And
he
they-
needed to. And he was known around. We'll get to around how he was like a little celebrity.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, he would eat bread, milk, grains, things like
Yeah.
that. This religion that he practiced were the teaching of the Church of the New Jerusalem. It's a Christianity-based religion on the mystical teachings of scientist and philosopher Emanuel Swedenborg. Swedenborg started this whole thing when he was in Europe or something, having a gluttonous meal, and he thought that he could hear God telling him, don't eat so much. And that was his spiritual awakening, and he made a whole religion based on it.
God is a bitch.
Yeah, how dare you fat shame me?
Yeah, don't let anyone tell you not to eat so much.
Also, sir, it's like the 1700s, if not earlier, when this
Yeah.
religion was found.
What is he eating?
I'm gonna need to. I don't remember.
Too many figs? Like, oh my God.
So he starts this religion, and he believes that God can talk to him through the angels, aka he's hearing voices in his head. And Swedenborg believes that angels live in houses just like we do. It's very casual in heaven, and there are 3 different levels to heaven. What they
Okay.
are, who the fuck knows?
Oh, he didn't say?
Basement? No, basement, like living room, kitchen, then bedroom. I don't know, but that's 2 little tidbits that I got from it, and Johnny Appleseed was super into it.
I'm kind of into it too.
Well, do your research.
Okay.
You'll have to be celibate. Too late.
Okay. Yeah, too late.
You can get baptized or something again, wash away your sin or something.
So you have to be celibate?
I
Like,
think so.
even if you're like married?
I don't know. That's a good question. All I know is that Johnny Appleseed was celibate.
Okay.
And he claimed that no woman on earth was pure enough for him.
Wow, rude.
Burn. He's like, all these bitches are eating these nasty ass crab apples.
They're all eating meat.
He's just, stammering around drunkenly calling everyone not pure enough for him while he's like nasty.
Yeah, and people liked him?
people
He
liked
sounds
him.
not good.
He would spread the word of God on his journey through the frontier. He didn't have any money to give the farmers and families who housed him on those some nights, but he did have this book by that guy Swedenborg that he would just tear bundles out of and give to people so that they could keep it and read it and
Oh, gee, thanks.
burn it when it got
Creepy,
too cold.
dirty old man for a ripped out page of a book that I'm never going to fucking read.
How bizarre,
Yeah.
right? In addition to this, so he's obviously a very eccentric man.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about that in the Disney version of Johnny Appleseed. He also claimed that he was, quote, in frequent spiritual intercourse with departed spirits of the female gender who consoled him with the news that they will be his wives in the future state.
Wow.
Yep.
So he was 100%
Insane in the membrane. Maybe that's just what happens when you're raised by a tree.
Right. And when you spend all of your time just walking alone in the woods, you're going to have some crazy
So
ideas.
sad.
Yeah.
Of course, you're hearing voices in your head.
Right. You have to. Otherwise, you'll go nuts.
There was an account that said that he was lusting after a woman in this town, but then she got married. And some people speculate that he was like, screw you, I don't need you, I don't need anyone. And that maybe that is what
And now he's
led-
going to have sex with ghosts.
How are you in constant, frequent spiritual intercourse? Like, if I'm walking through the woods, I'm looking down to make sure I'm not stepping on shit. I don't have time to focus or fantasize or even listen to the voices in my head.
I feel like he's probably just so cold and miserable sleeping in the forest.
He's just
that
disassociating.
He disassociates.
Yeah, that's what he
Any
calls
chance.
masturbation.
Yeah.
Frequent spiritual intercourse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his feet were so calloused, he just doesn't feel anything anymore. He's hardened by the wilderness. So he planned on waiting for his future wives, waiting for them in the afterlife, and he remained celibate for the rest of his life. And he always slept on the ground, whether it was in the forest, whether it was in somebody's home. He would use his sack as a pillow. And typically when he woke up, he would be like, all right, who's ready to hear the angels talk? Who's ready to hear what the angels are saying?
Oh, no.
And he would go on and preach and tell the people what the angels were telling him.
I mean, I would be interested.
I
Not gonna
would
lie.
too. I would definitely not turn away from him. Like, if I saw him in public, I'm not going to invite him into my house. But times were different. A lot of people let Johnny Appleseed stay with them when he needed a place to stay. And even though he was a lone wolf, he was very charismatic somehow and very memorable. The families and farmers that he did stay with, though, would often ask him to sleep in their barn or their shed if they had one, due to his, quote, wee beasties.
What? Oh, his lice?
Yes,
Okay.
his lice.
Sense.
So they're like, all right, we're going to give you some milk, we're going to give you some bread, and then you can head out. Get that
Yeah.
bread.
Get that head, then leave.
And he was a huge source of entertainment when he came into towns. He definitely contributed to his own legends by telling stories of his adventures, but he would do things like push needles through the soles of his feet because they were so calloused. He didn't
Okay.
feel anything.
Okay.
And he would entertain the children in that way. He was known to give little girls ribbons for their hair.
Okay.
He was very kind to animals. I feel like all of this would change drastically if I was like, and he also is known to kill small animals.
Yeah. This could have been a very different story.
No, he was an extreme pacifist who was super kind to animals. There are a lot of tall tales. Who's to say what is true? One of them does say that he befriended a wolf, though, after healing its little paw when it was a pup, and that the wolf followed him around everywhere after that. There are a lot of pictures and drawings with him with a wolf standing next to him. Sweet. Another tale says that Johnny Appleseed was setting up camp in the middle of the woods, like you do, and he had the fire going, and he discovered a mother bear and her cubs sleeping nearby. And the story tells it like out of the kindness of his heart, he decided to move away. But I'm like, bitch, you just didn't want to get eaten by the bear. That is...
Yeah, what?
You just moved away to not... to get yourself out of harm's way, which makes sense, but what a weird way to tell the story.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like, you don't want to disturb the bear.
Nobody would stay there.
Yeah. Johnny Appleseed was also said to often put out fires in the nighttime if there were bugs flying into them because he didn't want any living thing to suffer.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
I like that.
So he went on for years and years and years just planting seeds and having lice and eating bread and milk and...
Wow, what a life.
Preaching what the angels told him. Yes. So he died that night in 1845 in Fort Wayne, sleeping on the hearth. And he left over 1,200 acres of land, nurseries, orchards. He left it all to his sister, but all of the land was sold to pay his back taxes that he literally never paid. So he didn't really have anything monetary to leave behind, but he left behind quite the legend.
At least they broke even.
They broke even. Who knows how many apples I've eaten that I have to thank Johnny Appleseed for.
True.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. My sources are Wikipedia, NPR's All Things Considered, Stuff You Missed in History Class podcast, The History Guy on YouTube, BuzzFeed, Ruining History on YouTube, and the Smithsonian Magazine, an article by Natasha Geeling.
That was fun. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, we will be right back.
Bye. Y'all, we have merch.
If you didn't know.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. It is my go-to, specifically going into fall. Now, I know Memphis isn't actually going to get cold until like November, but the AC stays on.
And like, I feel like a true Southerner right now because as soon as it gets below 80, I'm like, it's cold.
Right? It feels good out here. Let me go get my jacket on.
There's a chill in the air. I need to put on my Night Classy University crew neck sweatshirt.
It is so nice. It looks like, I mean, obviously you guys know Night Classy University is not a real thing, but if it was, that would be sold in the bookstores for like $120 instead of what it actually is, which is very affordable for how freaking cute it is.
Yeah, it's Champion brand. It has like the collegiate lettering. It's wine colored. Well, the sweatshirt is gray. The print is wine colored. It's just very cute. So as we go into fall, you'll definitely want to get yourself one of these sweatshirts. You can go to parasaur.co or follow the link in the show notes or any of the bios on our social media.
Check it out. We made it just for you.
Yes, and if you're a Patreon, there is a discount code on Patreon. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good now that it's my turn.
Your favorite turn.
My
is your
favorite
turn.
My favorite time. Actually, I'm like really tired. It was really nice listening to your lesson. But now it's my turn. And I actually have 2 lessons for us today. I've had these 2 topics picked out for a while, but like both of them are kind of too short to make a whole one, but they're so good and they're like loosely connected.
Oh, a little combo.
A little combo, a little double feature, if you will.
A little double dip.
Double dip the chips. So I am talking about 2 colors today. We're going to talk about Baker Miller pink and Paris green. So
okay.
We're going to start with Baker Miller pink. Excuse me. It's also known as...
Can you retake that?
Yeah. So Baker Miller pink is also known as...
No, the part you coughed through. We're going to talk about Baker Miller pink.
We're going to talk about Baker Miller pink first. Baker Miller pink is also known as...
Can you retake it? We're gonna talk about... It was like completely different than the first.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
We have to leave this in.
All right.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Baker Miller pink. Now it's stuck in your brain. We've said it many times. You know what it is. It's also known as P618.
Pink.
Perk-a-merk perk. Scouse pink or drunk tank pink. And it's a tone of pink that's been observed to reduce hostile, violent, or aggressive behavior.
Is it in jails? Is it that type of shit they do?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. And it looks like this. It's basically like Pepto-Bismol color. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought it was pretty cool. I had never heard of it until I heard of it. And that's when I put it in my notes.
The only context I've heard of pink in jails specifically was that like asshole warden who made the guys wear pink because he thought that it was emasculating in Arizona.
Okay.
But like I've seen it around, but I don't know anything else.
Yeah, it has, to my knowledge, nothing to do with sexism or trying to emasculate people. There's just a study that this one guy did found that it makes people calm. And that's why that a lot of drunk tanks are painted this color of pink. It started back in the 1960s with Dr. Alexander Schaus, who at the time was working at the Naval Corrections Facility in Seattle, Washington. And there he was studying the effects of the color pink on people's psychology. He was inspired by a Swiss psychiatrist, Max Luscher, who believed that people's color preferences indicated certain personality traits. And there's a lot of like color psychology that goes into this. Like there's all this stuff online. Like if your favorite color is pink, like this is like how you are. Like if your favorite color is yellow, this is what it says about you.
I love to read those things.
Me too.
So much. Even if it's just a BuzzFeed article that a random person could have written. I'm like, wow, that is so true.
Yeah, they know this is so insightful. Or like the colors is like the quizzes, it's like, what's your aura?
Yes.
I always take those. Anyway, that's pretty much what this was. And in Luscher's research, he noticed that his patients experienced psychological and physiological fluctuations. Their color preferences shifted accordingly. So like if they felt mad, they showed a preference toward like the color red, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This led him to assert that color choice is influenced by emotional states, which made Schaus think that maybe this could work in reverse and the opposite could be true. He wondered if colors could affect our emotions. He hypothesized that color could cause emotional and hormonal changes, that certain wavelengths of light could trigger these profound and measurable responses in the endocrine system. So basically, seeing a color triggers your brain to do something different. That was his idea.
Okay.
So he started these tests at the correctional facility. And his test started in 1978, and he observed that color did affect muscle strength, either making the subject stronger or weaker.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't it crazy? I think what he did, and it's been a long time since I wrote these notes, so I'm not sure, but I think what he did was he had people squeeze like a hand weight, and when they were looking at certain colors, they were able to squeeze like with more pressure than looking at other colors.
That is so strange because to me, it makes me think that like, have you ever been in a group of people or a presenter is talking to you and they're like, raise your hand. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, raise your hand as high as you can go. And then they're like, now raise it higher. And everyone can raise it higher.
Yeah.
It's like our mental blocks limit us. It's kind of interesting how colors can open that up.
They can. And that makes me think of, do you remember when we were in middle school, those sports bracelets were really popular and they're supposed to make you more flexible? Yeah.
Ew.
But like in my mind, they could. Like you do that thing where you like hold your hands behind your back and like lift up your arms. And like when you're wearing the bracelet, you could go higher.
Yeah. It's the placebo effect.
It's totally the placebo effect. And I don't know a ton about this, but in my mind, it's like we have these societal and cultural ideas about color. So that triggers our brain to react certain ways. And this is kind of what his research found. He found that it even affected the cardiovascular system, so it would affect people's heart rates and breathing rhythm. Schell started experimenting on himself, which doesn't seem like the best
valid
scientific method to me, but nevertheless, he did it, and he discovered that one particular shade of pink had the most effects. Of course, we already know that that is shade P618, or drunk tank pink. He observed that even staring at an 18 by 24 inch card of this color, especially after exercising, resulted in a, quote, marked effect on lowering the heart rate, pulse, and respiration as compared to other colors.
Is it what you're saying, drunk tank?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
It became known as drunk tank pink because people started painting like the drunk tanks in jails, like, you know, where they hold people that get arrested that night. They started painting it this color. So that's just kind of what it's become known as, but it wasn't known as that at first.
I didn't know what drunk tanks were even. I didn't know that's what they were called.
Yeah, it's just like the holding cell at the jail for like everyone who gets booked.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. By 1979, he convinced the directors of the Naval Institute of Seattle to paint some of their prison confinement cells pink in order to see what effect it had on prisoners. So there you go. And Schell named the color Baker Miller pink after the Naval's corrections officers Baker and Miller. This became the official name of the color. And so after they painted these cells pink, Schell's team kept track of the rates of assaults in the cells before and after they painted. According to these reports, quote, since the initiation of this procedure on March 1st, 1979, there have been no incidents of erratic or hostile behavior during the initial phase of confinement. So it did seem to work. For me, I'm kind of like, if I was placed in a hot pink prison cell, I think I'd just be so confused that I wouldn't fight.
Yeah, that would be it. Or maybe I might feel too fabulous. Like I might catch an attitude.
Right. I'm too fabulous to fight today.
Yeah, like my prison room is pink. What have you bitches done? It might have the opposite effect, but also hopefully I never end up in prison. So I don't know.
That's true.
It's hard to say.
It's also like that thing, like if you're in a nice atmosphere, you're gonna like show more respect to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Like it does not help to put people in cinder block rooms with a shitty bench. Like if you make it look nice, people are going to act better. That's just simple.
Same thing as like look good, feel good, be in a nice environment, feel like you're feeling nice.
Right. And like, obviously, I hate to compare schools to prisons, but it's the same thing with a classroom. Yes. If you make your classroom look nice, the kids are going to behave better.
They are like prisons. Some of them have no
totally
windows. And I know that's not every single one.
Right. And I'm not trying to like downplay the fact that the school to prison pipeline exists. This is just like deeper than we need to go right now.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I'm saying is like same thing applies in like our profession. If you make your classroom look nice, the kids are going to respect their space more. Typically. I mean, you always have some. Anyway, to an observer watching this, like people are booked, they go in the cell, they're agitated because they were booked. Just 15 minutes of exposure to the color was enough to reduce violent or aggressive behavior. And according to Schaus, quote, even if a person tries to be angry or aggressive in the presence of pink, he can't. The heart muscles can't race fast enough. It's a tranquilizing color that zaps your energy. Even the colorblind are tranquilized by pink rooms.
How though?
I don't know. This
what
seems
does
like
it mean?
He's making a lot of claims here, and I'm not saying they're all true.
But show me the facts.
Right. According to what he thinks, based on what he has seen, this is what he says.
I would just imagine myself feeling like I'm back in the womb, like being in a room that's all pink.
Right. And it's a very like vagina pink. Like it's pussy pink. It's the
bright,
same color as the pussy hats.
Pink. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Bright, warm pink, indeed.
And some vaginas anyway. Not all of them are pink.
Right. That's true. That's true.
But those that are.
It is similar. And, you know, this research came out and everyone started painting gel cells all over the country this color of pink. And it's like, I guess like even if the research isn't the best, like he was experimenting on himself, it's still like a low stakes thing to do. Like you just have to buy a can of cheap, ugly pink. Like it's not a pretty pink. It can't be that expensive.
Yeah.
And paint your gel cell. Like it's very low risk, high reward. So people started doing it. That's when, of course, it became nicknamed Drunk Tank Pink. This may all seem really exciting, but unfortunately, like we've already pointed out, there are holes in the research. For one, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that these results...
What if that was a plot twist in your episode and I just didn't even catch it? I'm like, what? No, you lied.
You're like ready to paint everything in your life pink.
I'm like, no wonder I love my pink couch and bought it on impulse. Pink everything.
You are wearing a pink sweatshirt right now, and I feel very tranquilized.
Good. I bought this sweatshirt hoping that it would tranquilize you.
It worked. I feel sleepy.
Me too.
There's evidence to suggest that these results are only short term. Like it does work, but in my mind, that's because the prisoner gets put in there, they're confused, so they calm down and then they start acting the way they were acting.
Yeah, it's just redirecting their attention.
Yeah, and it's supposed to like these results like only last 15 or 20 minutes. So I also don't know if he was doing these studies, and I'm speculating a lot. Like I don't want to like be tarnishing this guy's name or anything, but maybe they were recording their results within the first 15 and 20 minutes, and then like that's what they published. And then, you know, afterward, people kind of go back to their equilibrium. I don't know. Secondly, this research did not address whether this reaction to pink is something like psychologically inherent in people or it's due to social conditioning and the association with pink and femininity, which to me seems more likely.
Yeah. Yep. I could see that. Because I was just thinking, I wonder if it would happen if we could see any proof of that same effect in like animals or across different countries and cultures.
Yeah, animals are like very young babies. Like it would be interesting. These results are incredibly interesting, which is why we're talking about it, but the research just wasn't done in the best way possible. So if somebody could duplicate these results, that would be really cool. Also, his research was, you know, obviously not the most controlled. He researched on himself, recorded data from himself. There's a lot of bias there and the potential for the placebo effect. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but the possibility that color can have an effect on us is fascinating and is something that has been studied. And it is true, like whether it's due to social conditioning or not, it's definitely very interesting.
Oh, yeah. I know when I walk into like an ugly bathroom or something, I'm like, ugh, get me out of here.
Oh, yeah. The like beautiful spaces make all the difference, and color is a big part of that. And I don't know if you remember back on my lesson about smell, we talked about how smell can have like such a psychological effect.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that color would be the same type of thing.
Totally.
And just as Drunk Tank Pink was gaining popularity, another color was made illegal. That is Paris Green. Record scratch. Skirt. You're probably wondering how we ended up here.
Oh my God.
So let's throw it back to 100 years ago in the 1800s. In 1861, Matilda Schroer was at work doing what she always did. She was an artificial flower maker, and part of her job was dusting flowers with this vibrant green powder. She was doing this, like usual, when she began foaming at the mouth and vomiting.
No, Matilda.
I know. She collapsed in convulsions and unfortunately died.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Matilda.
Poor baby Matilda. She was given an autopsy, and in the autopsy, it noted that she was green.
Her skin?
Her skin had a... I don't think her skin, maybe it had like a green tint, or at least it was covered in this green powder, but her fingernails were green, her bile was green, even the whites of her eyes were green.
Oh my gosh. It was like literally the Wild West.
Yeah.
For substances and things you could work with.
Totally. the Wild West in England. The autopsy.
If you go far enough, it is west. So
That's true. It is west compared to some things.
yes, that's all. I'm just trying to be right as usual.
You're right. The autopsy revealed arsenic in her stomach, lungs, and liver. So pigments called Scheele's green and Paris green were the height of fashion in the 18th and 19th centuries. It was this vibrant pea green. It's also called emerald green.
Yeah.
Just very bright and pretty. It was used to dye pretty much everything. It was a very popular color. They would dye, like I said, flower arrangements, curtains, candles, dresses, paint, wallpaper, toys, and even candy.
And once that went out of style, they got lead.
Right. Lead and radium also were fun things to ingest at the time.
Toxic.
There were a lot of cases of people eating Paris green and Scheele's green because it was used to dye colored candy and food.
Green eggs and ham, anyone?
Right. May as well. And people pretty much did that. Like they would dye food colors at the time because it was like cool. And we still do that.
Yeah, that's true. But think of all the people who had to die for us to be able to have fucking actual non-toxic green eggs and ham at our elementary school lunch.
I'm going to tell you about them right now. There are at least a few cases of people dying from eating green colored candy or food. There was a banquet held in the 1850s by the Irish Regiment in London, and the table was covered with these Paris green colored candy sugar leaves. Obviously, a lot of the attendees there brought them home to their children, and sadly, this resulted in several deaths.
Oh, God, no.
I know. It's so sad and so avoidable. Like, people had to have known
You
that
think
green.
so?
I think so. And it was deliberately hidden by these manufacturing companies that this was poisonous. But, like, a lot of people, I think, knew. But then, like, a lot of food was colored green. And then sometimes there was just, like, too much of it that it would kill people. Like arsenic was in a lot of things and we'll talk about it, but basically like arsenic was allowed to be in like food and cosmetic products as long as it was like a tenth of, I don't know, like
below a certain percentage.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay. So I don't know. A lot of people are to blame here.
I mean, that's still like that today. Like there's allowed to be a certain percentage of all kinds of shit.
Things. Yeah. And like the chemicals in our food today are terrible for us. Like we know that red 40 causes cancer and it's still in things.
You're right. You're right.
The government does not have our best interests in mind when it comes to some things.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about vaccines. I want to make that very clear. Get the vaccine.
Yes.
Like I feel like that this becomes a talking point for that, and that's not what I'm trying to do here at all.
The research has been done. Yeah. Science is real.
Definitely.
Get the fucking vaccine.
Get the vaccine. Anyway, at a separate dinner in 1860, a cook cooked a Scheele's green blanc manger.
Blanc manger.
It's basically Jell-O made with cream. It looks so like disgusting.
Gelatinous ice cream,
kind of. Yeah, it was. It's just like Jell-O made with milk. So it's like this milky gelatinous thing, and it was like a dessert.
Ooh, like flan.
Kind of like flan.
Seems like it would be like flan.
Yeah, it's similar to flan, but it does not look good. Like I assume flan is.
Flan. The texture is not great for me.
Gotcha. I've never tried flan because I don't eat Jell-O-y stuff, but people seem to like it. This seems worse. So eating it was the people's first mistake, but unfortunately, it was dyed green. Like we said, people were just dyeing shit green for fun, and 3 of the dinner guests died.
That's like a scene in a murder mystery movie.
Right.
Like we're all at this fancy dinner. We're having fun. The food is green. Oh my God. There are 3 people dead who did it.
I know. It's
Big
totally
green.
like they just dropped dead. It's crazy. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Maybe they died later on. I picture it as they dropped dead at dinner.
The dramatized version, they definitely dropped dead.
Yeah.
They were foaming green stuff out of their mouth, probably. Their eyes turned green for sure. Slowly before they
their eyes
dropped
rolled
dead.
back in their head.
Yep.
and were
turned
replaced
green.
by like a bright green. Oh, you're talking about they flipped back and now their
And
pupils
then they
are
were
green.
green.
That's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Very scary, robotic almost.
Yes. So let the record show. Anyway, we're talking about Paris green. It's also known as Schweinfurt green, emerald green, Vienna green, and Scheele's green. Already said that part. It's created by combining copper 2 acetate with arsenic trioxide. So it has a lot of arsenic in it. It is highly toxic, and it was especially nasty when used on flocked wallpaper. So flocked, do you know what flocked is?
No.
It's like that foamy stuff. Like, have you ever seen the Christmas trees that have the fake snow on it? Those
Yeah.
are flocked. It's like this spray foam.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was really popular to have wallpaper with that stuff on it. And if it was green, it would have this Paris green in it, and it would flake off into the air.
You're just surrounded by it.
You were breathing it all the time. Napoleon Bonaparte is even rumored to have died of exposure to Scheele's green wallpaper. So much of Napoleon's house had this green wallpaper, including his bathroom that was green striped. And when this Paris green wallpaper gets damp, it's said to have like a mouse-like odor, and it releases arsenic gas into the air.
Oh my gosh.
A mouse-like?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. I think they mean kind of like musty. Like, have you ever been in a house that's infested with mice?
Not to
Or
my
like a
knowledge.
garage?
Yes.
But I do have a squirrel, so I can think close to it.
My
The
grandma's
squirrel
basement had that smell, kind of like it is musty, but
Yeah.
like dusty.
musty, dusty, and crusty.
Like a
Yeah,
hamster
all
cage?
three.
No, hamster cages smell.
That's more like urine.
Yeah, mouse smell is different. You'd probably know it if you smelled it. It's like when you go into like a really old barn or a really old garage.
Yeah.
Kind of smells like it.
You might get whiffs of it in like if you've ever walked through a vintage store, like one of the or like a flea mart that's like really junky in some parts. You could get a waft of it.
Definitely. So Napoleon was known for taking these long baths, which meant that there was steam in his bathroom, getting his wallpaper all wet, and he was just sitting in there for hours.
For hours.
Well, I don't know. How long do you take a long bath? An hour?
45 minutes, maybe.
I don't know his habits. I just know he takes long
Hours.
baths.
He's just getting it refilled.
Accumulation of hours over his lifetime.
Sure. Yes. Yes. You are right.
I am right.
Sweet, sweet words. You are right.
Thank you. Thank you. This was bad. What made it worse was that wallpaper was oftentimes adhered to the wall using an arsenic-based paste.
Everything is arsenic.
Everything was arsenic. They did this to deter rats and bugs.
And life.
And yeah, they was like, okay, great, this kills rats and bugs, but like,
Surely it
it's-
won't kill me.
Right, I'm not a rat or a bug.
Oh my God.
So, like, everything was arsenic. In his final days, Napoleon was vomiting black liquid. He had swollen legs, abdominal pain, jaundice, just general weakness. It's possible that these things could have been caused by arsenic poisoning. A lot of these are symptoms of it.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, he was fucked up.
Anytime my legs get swollen just by like walking 5 minutes outside in the heat, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to walk anymore.
I know that the swollen legs must have hurt. That's probably why he was in the bath all the time. And little did he know it was just making it worse.
Much worse.
So much worse. And another thing that was intended to make him better, but probably made it worse, was all the chemicals that his doctors were giving him. Arsenic at the time was used to treat things. So, like, he was probably just being fed more arsenic and more just like chemicals. So, you know, his death was probably caused by a variety of things. He was old, in poor health. He was inhaling all this arsenic, eating these chemicals. So, we don't know like exactly what it was. But we do know that when he was exhumed in 2008, his body contained 100 times the level of arsenic as contemporary people.
He was a fighter.
Till the very end.
Oh my goodness. Poor guy.
I know. So this was not good. But, you know, it means that his death may have been caused by Paris green. So this theory holds a little bit of water. Certainly possible. Even those who didn't die experienced terrible symptoms after coming in contact with the color. There were these brilliant green dresses. They're now nicknamed arsenic dresses or poison dresses that were like super in fashion at the time.
Oh, that sounds spicy.
They were spicy. They were just like these beautiful emerald green silk ball gowns, but they were dyed with Paris green. So they were fucking full of arsenic. And wealthy women who wore these dresses experienced symptoms of arsenic poisoning. A report done in the 1890s found that 20% of dresses on the market contained more than 3 grams of arsenic per meter.
I don't know what that means, but sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. So, and it wasn't just green dresses. It was also red and black. There were a lot of dyes that used arsenic in them, but like Paris green was kind of the most notorious. The average dress takes 7 meters of fabric. So that's 21 grams of arsenic. A lethal dose is 100 to 300 milligrams.
Wow.
So it contains like many lethal doses worth.
And you're surrounded in that all day.
Mm-hmm. It's rubbing on your body.
Yeah.
Getting heated up by your body heat. And like people weren't eating the dresses, so they weren't dying, but there were all these newspaper reports at the time reporting that women wearing these dresses like felt faint. People around them felt faint. They'd also experienced skin irritation, like rashes, and even like in extreme cases, lesions.
Oh, see, this is what science gives us. At the time, they're like, these dresses are making people ill. Like, don't buy these dresses that look like this. But now we're like, arsenic.
Right.
Multiple lethal doses. We know this now.
We know this. And honestly, like if I heard that dresses were like making people faint, I'd be like, I want one of those magic dresses.
Of course you would.
I might not wear it, but I'd like to own one.
Like, I don't want to do or go through with whatever plans I have today. Let me wear this dress.
Yeah. If I don't want to go somewhere, I can just like make myself ill by wearing the green dress.
That's a magic dress.
It is.
Or you could just lie.
Yeah, that's true. Or you could make the people around you ill with your magic dress. Just like rub your sleeve on them. Or feed them a little piece of it.
You would rub up on someone. I just can't picture it.
I'm not a hugger.
No.
All in all, these dresses kind of have this allure to them, and like we talk about them, there's all these articles about them, but they're kind of made out to be worse than they really were in reality at the time. But they've stood this like test of like legend. Like French costume makers still avoid using green fabric, and the majority of like high fashion houses like Chanel traditionally avoid the color green.
What? That's crazy.
I know, but it's like a superstition at this point. Like it's gotten such a bad rap. In reality, the fabric of these dresses didn't come too much in contact with women's skin because of the way dresses were made at the time. They had so many undergarments and petticoats and corsets and lining that it wasn't too big of a problem with it rubbing on their skin. And also, it was like really easy to ingest arsenic in the Victorian era. Like dresses were not the biggest threat. There was arsenic in fucking everything.
Everywhere. It seems like the air was 50% arsenic at all times.
Honestly, pretty much. It was a super, super, super common like household item. People kept arsenic powder in their houses and would like sprinkle it around to use as insecticide.
They do like a forensic files, but all from the Victorian era. And every single time it's arsenic.
It's always fucking arsenic. Yeah. Pretty much, or some other poison.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Truly, people were not healthy. Occasionally, because it was a household item, so it was like you'd have a bunch of jars full of white powder. You'd get it confused with other white powder. Sometimes these results were deadly. In 1812, a candy maker accidentally used 12 pounds of arsenic in his confections.
No fucking way.
Yeah. He poisoned himself and 200 others, 20 of whom died.
Okay. Where are the labels though, people?
Nothing was regulated.
Better.
I mean, definitely do better, but like...
What? put a piece of paper on your powdered bin.
Right. And I'm just saying, why is the stuff that you're using to make candy next to your arsenic, sir?
Yeah, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Sir.
Terrible choices were made.
No kidding. I'm judging hardcore.
Me too. This, he was
That
a
was
victim himself, but he brought this upon himself and others.
Yeah, I know we didn't know everything there was to know about arsenic, but that was a big fuck up, man.
Big fuck up.
Big
And
fuck
it
up.
killed 20 people. So, like,
I thought you said 200.
He poisoned 200.
Oh, okay.
It killed 20.
Okay.
Arsenic was, like I said earlier, a common ingredient in skin creams and other cosmetics. So there were like all these creams that women would put on their faces, and the main ingredient was arsenic. And these creams were so dumb because they would, I think it was actually smart on their part if we're like an evil person, because they would claim to like clear your skin, but really they would cause lesions. And so you'd get these like bad nasty breakouts and stuff, and so you just keep putting on more of this cream and it would make it worse and worse.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was also used in cancer and syphilis treatments, and like cancer was a thing back then just like it is now, and syphilis was a leading cause of death, so it was being used a lot in medicine. And so, dresses weren't the biggest threat. This is all to say that there were definitely other ways to get your daily dose of arsenic.
Your daily recommended dose.
Doctor recommended if you have syphilis.
Jeez. I know these times we're living in are really crazy and unprecedented, but I'm so glad I don't live anytime before now, honestly.
Oh my God, me too. I would love to visit. Like, I feel like in a past life, I lived in the Victorian era, but I do not want to go back for any long period of time.
Oh yeah, I'd love
just
to
wanna
visit.
see
I
it.
want to observe. Like, I don't even need to live in it.
No, yeah, if
wanna
I could
see
be
it.
a third party, like omnipotent observer.
Yes,
That'd be
big
nice.
word, vocabulary.
Vocab.
I want to be arsenic on the wall.
Yeah. I'm just the arsenic on the wall. Don't you wish that you could be the arsenic on the wall?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, hashtag Miley. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were doing some Pussycat dolls.
Oh, I was doing Hannah Montana. Fly on the wall.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
What were
doing
you doing?
Don't ya?
Oh, no, but that also works. These dresses weren't too much of a threat in the grand scheme of things, especially not really to the wealthy women who were wearing them. The people that they were harming were the young working class, typically women who made them.
Interesting.
Right.
Weird.
Capitalism. So we discussed Matilda Schroer in the beginning of the episode. She was, of course, not the only manufacturer who experienced arsenic poisoning. After her death, women's philanthropic organizations took up her cause. She was kind of like a rallying point around the dangers of this artificial dye. And most importantly, the Ladies Sanitary Organization took up her cause. And they were the ones that kind of were able to do the most about this. One of their members, Miss Nicholson, visited the Garments Workshop where Paris green flower arrangements were being made. She wrote a report about it, and like it was horrific. She reports that working in these factories were, quote, half-clad, half-starved little girls with bandaged hands and cutaneous diseases.
Oh, no.
So it was, a Victorian factory with child labor, horrible conditions. These girls were made to work despite not being in good condition. Some of the girls wore handkerchiefs soaked in blood. Others were made to work until their faces were, quote, one mass of sores and they were almost blind.
No. Oh, no.
So this dye was really heinous because when you were working with it, it was in powdered form. And so it was getting in the air. It was getting under your fingernails and your eyes, up your nose, like everything. So you were just really taking in arsenic all over. And the poisonous properties of arsenic and green dye were known by chemists at the time, but they were deliberately hiding it so they could keep selling this green dye.
I don't get that. If you know that something is dangerous, why not just be like, okay, we're not going to put this out on the market. Let's keep looking so that we can actually have a long-lasting thing to sell people.
Because money, like,
But you can't take it with you.
No, of
this
course,
is so
I'm not trying to
stupid.
defend it. Like, it's awful.
I get
but
that's why, but it's so stupid.
yeah, it's just awful. Like, they knew. People knew that arsenic was not good for you, and yet it was in everything. People were fucking dying. But, a lot of lay people were unaware that arsenic was so harmful. It was just a common household thing.
Yeah.
They didn't really think of it. But after Miss Nicholson's visit to the workshop, the ladies of the Sanitary Association commissioned a prominent analytical chemist named Dr. A.W. Hoffman to test artificial leaves found in ladies' hairdresses. So a lot of these leaves were made into these like flower wreaths that women would wear. And so he was basically commissioned to test those. This hadn't really been done before because like chemists knew that they contained arsenic, but like this was someone working for the public, proving to everyone that they had a lot of arsenic. And it was really cool that women kind of were the leads of something like this. And his report concluded that a single headdress contained enough arsenic to kill 20 people.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And a typical ball gown made of 20 yards of fabric contained 900 grains of arsenic, the lethal dose being 4 or 5.
Wow. Talk about a whistleblower.
Yeah.
Not really even, since he's not working for the arsenic people.
Right.
But still,
he's
like, hey guys, I'm not fucking around. This is serious.
totally. He was helping. And the shitty part is that, like, despite the fact that women were mostly the ones affected by arsenic in the garment industry, they were typically the ones wearing it. I mean, men wore it too, but we talk about these arsenic green dresses, and also women working in manufacturing were getting the worst of it, while male chemists who knew what they were doing and people high up in manufacturing were actively hiding the danger. When this report came out, women were blamed by the press. So they're the ones who made this fucking report in the first place. But when all the articles came out talking about it, women who wore green were blamed. They were called femme fatales.
Oh my God. That is so obnoxious.
I know.
They're like, why are you guys trying to ruin arsenic for us?
Truly.
They're like, we're dying. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
We're dying. Oh, we don't care.
Be quiet. Yeah.
Be quiet. You're being so dramatic.
So
how are you dying if
hysterical.
you're talking to me right now?
Right. Yeah.
Lesion face, get out of here.
Shut up, lesion face.
Lesion me alone.
I have a quote from the British Medical Journal that says, quote, this is written in like old English. I'm going to struggle through this. Hold on. Well, may the fascinating wearer of it be called a killing creature. She actually carries in her skirts poison enough to slay the whole of admirers she may meet in half a dozen ballrooms. So basically they're like painting women as murderers. Like she's like a black widow going around in her green gowns, like poisoning people.
Right.
Most of
Just
them
like,
didn't know their dress was fucking poisonous.
It's not the gun that kills the person. It's the person who pulls the trigger.
Yeah, totally. It's not the manufacturer of this fucking poison that's
Who's putting
this
it
thing
out on the market and pumping it into every single fucking thing in the house that it possibly can be.
Yeah.
God.
It's infuriating. Other experiments followed proving that arsenic pigments in damp or rotting wallpaper were also lethal. Apparently, the mold that grew on this green wallpaper smelled like garlic, which is interesting because I thought it smelled like mice. But yeah, yeah,
Might be into some garlic. Paint the kitchen in some emerald green.
I mean, why not?
The mold.
Gradually, synthetic dyes did replace the arsenic dyes, but people did find other uses for Paris green. In 1867, farmers in Illinois and Indiana started using the pigment as insecticide against the Colorado potato beetle.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's put it on our crops now.
Right. I mean, it is green, so it probably made them look better.
Yeah, they're like, don't worry. In 100 years, there's gonna be something called Google Maps. Our field's gonna look really good,
Real nice. It's like when people spray paint their lawns green.
I would do that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't bad. I mean, I want a rock yard anyway.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or
Is
a garden
it
yard.
bad? I thought it was better because then you're not using water.
Oh yeah, I have no clue. I would
don't know
definitely
either.
spray paint my yard green.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Clearly.
I'll just leave it brown. I don't give a fuck.
They only do that here because it's showing fertilizer. So the guys don't double up on their fertilizer.
But there are places that do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or have like the turf yards.
Yeah.
That too. Paris green was sprayed by airplanes over Italy, Sardinia, and Corsica in 1944 to control malaria. I'm not sure if that
Just
works.
kill everyone so it doesn't spread.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that arsenic was used in medicine, and like, you know, they do this like similar things in chemotherapy. Like you're getting something toxic to kill the thing that's killing
you. It was
you.
probably to kill mosquitoes.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Alec, for being smart.
Here to connect the dots.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it had an effect. They used it on the mice back for freaking Napoleon Bonaparte. Bonaparte. So Bonaparte, right?
I think
Bonaparte,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Boner
sure-
party.
in his bathtub. So it had to have affected humans in the area too, even if it
I'm
was to kill the
sure.
mosquitoes.
I'm sure it made people sick, and it also dyed everything green. So that's cool, I guess.
Green eggs and everything else.
It was used to kill rats in Parisian sewers, which is how it became known as Paris green. And I read that, and I wondered if, you know, in cartoons like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the sewer water is like portrayed as green.
Yeah, it looks like
wonder-
acid.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why.
Ooh, maybe it is.
Because I'm sure the sewer water was green if they're pumping green dye into the sewers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting tidbit. Alas, it was not banned completely until the 1960s.
Wow.
And that is the story of Paris green.
Well, thanks for helping me realize that for all the change that we've gone through as a human race, that we haven't really changed that much, and that I need another glass of wine.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have another glass of wine. In the meantime, my sources are Wikipedia, nationalgeographic.com, openculture.com, thepragmaticconsumer.wordpress.com, pmj.bmj.com, vikingstovirgin.com, and janeaustinsworld.com. There are a lot of blogs this week.
Blog.blog.blogspot.blog.
I'm a dog with a blog. That was my lesson.
Wow, that was really interesting. Thank you
you.
for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend how much you enjoy us and love us and just want to listen to us all the time, and they should too. And you can even check out Patreon. Don't forget about our happy hour on October 1st. We will see you there. Thank you for listening. We love you. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.